Are you looking to buy a color e-reader? The Boox Nova 3 Color is one of two 7.8-inch color ebook readers available in US and Europe. It uses e-ink's Kaleido Plus color e-reader technology, but our comic books, magazines, and color notes on e-paper worth $420, and the big question is it 90 bucks better than the $429 pocketbook InkPad Color? So here's a little bit about myself. My name is Cannon. I write reviews for makeuseof.com. I've written extensively about Android devices and e-readers, and I've gone hands-on with virtually all reflective display technologies and most e-readers, either through trade shows or through review units. With that said, there are no other 7.8-inch reflective color displays being made at the moment, and the Nova 3 Color is the best in its class in terms of price and performance. But there will likely be a lot of competition this year for color e-reader technologies, and you may want to wait before you make a purchase. But overall, like all of Onyx's e-readers, the Nova 3 Color is a highly versatile device which is more like a tablet than an e-reader. It caters to bibliophiles who want their ebooks, web browsing, and handwritten notes in color without an eye strain causing backlight. But it comes with one big gotcha. The Nova 3 Color has very low color saturation. In other words, the colors look washed out. Even so, it's suitable for the education market and as a comic book e-reader, but for those who want a reading experience similar to that of paper, the color levels fall short of the target. But for those who want a color ebook reading tablet right now, it's an almost entirely better device than its competitor, the InkPad Color. So let's first talk about hardware. Compared to the InkPad, the Onyx Nova 3 Color is substantially better. The Onyx's processor is much faster, its overall hardware is superior, it includes stylus support for handwriting notes, and it uses Android 10 instead of a locked-down operating system, and that means you can install Android apps. Both e-readers, unfortunately, dispense with amber-tinted LED front light system, so if you're disturbed by bright white or blue lights, you may want to pass on both e-readers. However, you can install apps that reduce the impact of a white front light, like Twilight, but overall the Nova 3 Color's hardware is among the best in the e-reader market. Unfortunately, the Kaleido Plus panel, while good, has a few problems. Kaleido Plus brings to mind the old adage, perfect is the enemy of good. It's not perfect, but it is good enough. While its colors are recognizable, they're also bleached out with the intensity of jet-puffed fruity marshmallows. For example, when you're reading comic books, the color levels are about half as intense as you would expect from paper, and while Onyx allows users to increase color saturation manually, even on the highest saturation levels, images still don't look very much like paper at all. Kaleido just doesn't match paper in visual quality, but comparing Kaleido to a phone or a magazine misses the point. Kaleido does one thing, it brings color to e-readers. Before I get into demonstrating the Nova 3's color reading capabilities, let's really quickly touch on how to get started reading on an Onyx e-reader. It's really easy. Well, you can use cloud services like Dropbox or Windows applications like Calibre. I prefer manually transferring files from a computer. To transfer files, you first plug your e-reader into a computer, and then second, you drag and drop or copy and paste files of folders onto the Nova 3 Color's storage. The best place to put your ebooks is in the book directory, which is in the main storage of the Nova 3 Color. After that, those books should show up in the native ebook reading app, eReader. So once you have your ebook open, you'll notice that all ebooks, with and without color, will look slightly worse on the Nova 3 Color compared to black and white e-readers. The reason is that the color layer sits on top of the e-ink panel, which diminishes the e-ink screen's clarity. The image quality loss looks worse when viewing whites, and small text looks blurrier and harder to read compared to black and white e-ink panel by itself with no color layer. So for example, when I compare color e-ink side by side to a regular Carta panel, the quality difference is more visible. Aside from a degradation in whites, all images seem to have an ultrafine mesh that's overlaid on top of the e-ink screen. This mesh is mostly unnoticeable, even under very bright ambient lighting conditions. It usually shows up strongest when you have the front light turned up to max. Again, what you're seeing is the color filter array, or CFA for short. But overall, the visual clarity of the color graphics looks good enough. Even the text is readable with just a small loss in clarity. One final thing about the reading experience on the Nova 3 Color is that it goes into black and white mode whenever you reflow text. So if you've never used text reflow mode before, it basically rearranges words and images from scanned ebooks in order to make them more readable. And it's an absolutely amazing feature. It makes Onyx's e-readers some of the best in its class. But while this is a weird bug, it's not particularly distracting or an issue. Comic books read fairly well on the Nova 3 Color within the default Neo Reading app. You can set 3 different refresh modes, each with faster page turns. Unfortunately, even the slowest refresh speed setting, there's high amounts of ghosting. If you're unfamiliar with ghosting, it's when images are retained from a previous page. You might not notice ghosting at first, but over time, visual artifacts accumulate on the screen, marring the reading experience. And unfortunately, there's a fair amount of ghosting between page turns on the Nova 3 Color. Sketching and taking notes works fine on a Nova 3 Color thanks to its excellent Wacom pressure-sensitive touch layer. The passive input stylus doesn't require a battery. You just place the stylus on the screen to start writing notes. And if you are annotating ebooks, the note is backed up as a separate file inside of the directory where you store the book. Notes can be opened inside of a Windows computer as a text file, although there doesn't exist any native app on Android that's capable of seamlessly reading notes. But overall, annotation works just fine. So really quickly, I'm going to demonstrate how to annotate and highlight ebooks. Taking notes inside of a book works like this. You simply open the book in the eReader app, and then you turn on the notes layer by tapping on the center of the book and then selecting the notes option. There are different tip types, but the most important of these is a highlighter tool. Unfortunately, there are 2 problems with the highlighting tool. First, highlighting text doesn't feel very natural. There's a high level of input delay. So when you begin highlighting text, it takes a split second for it to appear on screen. And while it slightly detracts from the note-taking experience, it otherwise works just fine. The second issue is that highlighting text will write over whatever it is you're trying to highlight. So in other words, if you want to emphasize certain text using the highlighter tool, you'll need to underline it rather than write over the text, as you would with a physical highlighter. Overall, it's still usable, although not as good an experience as taking notes on paper. So another thing that you can do with the Nova 3 Color is play games, although I can't say it's a great experience. Games are only minimally playable on the Nova 3 Color, and you've got to really turn up the refresh speeds to the fastest levels. And even then, faster animations won't register at all, and there is no accelerometer, so games that require twisting the device just won't work at all, like Asphalt 8. The most playable games are slower paced, like turn-based games. However, if there are any fast animations, it'll look like teleportation. In other words, Angry Birds might play fine, but racing games will play like hot garbage. Even then, the colors will appear washed out. But overall, it's not a gaming device, so if you're using it for crossword puzzles, it's actually pretty good. The Nova 3 Color suffers from quite a few problems, mostly having to do with the newness of Kaleido Plus, but on top of issues with color filter array technology, there are around 5 problems that its main competitor, the InkPad Color, doesn't suffer from. First, the Nova 3 Color doesn't offer expandable storage unless you're using an OTG USB flash device, and that means 21 gigabytes of storage available you can fit in around 1,500 comic books, or if you have like very large trade paperbacks, maybe between 50 and 200 depending on their size. In comparison, the Pocketbook InkPad Color will packing in only 16 gigabytes of storage. Also includes an expandable micro SD slot, which allows users to massively increase storage for not much more money. Second, there is a rarely occurring touchscreen bug where the touchscreen may become non-functional temporarily, but restarting the device fixes this issue. Third, there are excessive amounts of ghosting or image retention, even when you have the refresh rate turned all the way down, which minimizes visual artifacts, but you still see them, which means Onyx might need to do more firmware optimization. Fourth, Android is a more difficult operating system to use. If you aren't familiar with Android, you may prefer the InkPad Color. Fifth, and finally, like the black and white Nova 3, the Nova 3 Color uses an unlicensed version of Android 10 because Google doesn't certify its devices on e-ink screens, and that means you'll need to install Google Play services using a few additional steps. It's not difficult to do, but it takes a little extra bit of time. But overall, it's a very good e-reader if you can live with the bugs and the color saturation issues. It's without question a better buy than the InkPad Color, but it also comes with more issues such as ghosting, and it costs $90 more. In my opinion, it's worth about $150 more. So if you see an InkPad Color on sale, it might be worth buying. And that's it for my review of the Onyx Boox Nova 3 Color. For a full-length review, which includes some additional photography and notes, please visit makeuseof.com. And if you enjoyed this review, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us some likes, as well as share this video with friends and family who might be looking for a color e-reader. Thank you very much for watching.